they went to the Queen to tell her her subjects had no bread. Do you know what she said?
Let them eat cake.
Who took the bomb?
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Good morning, peasants. Welcome to another episode of The Peasant's Perspective. I was gone for a week. Did you miss me?
Yes.
I got a lot of text messages, emails. Well, I guess I don't think I got any emails. A couple phone calls, people going, "You gotta have a show today?" And I was like, "No, I'm driving across the country in a Jeep. It's all over the road. Hold on."
Man.
Oh my goodness, dude. Kansas has got to be the most boring place on the planet. Holy smokes. And our country has absolutely blighted itself with windmills.
How's the corn doing?
It's getting tall. It's about 6 feet tall in Kentucky. Sarah Sings, good morning, Sarah Sings. I wanted so badly to cut through Oklahoma, but once I actually started looking at the map and planning my route, I realized this is a freaking gigantic country, and I'm driving coast to coast from the beaches of Florida to the beaches of Washington. I made the trip in exactly 49 hours of driving time.
Dang.
It took me about 4 days. I got just shy of like 4 days of start to finish. So
That's like a cannonball record.
dude, it was rough. It was rough. So, you want to hear my assessment of the country?
Yes.
Florida, very interesting, pretty flat. Every piece of water you look at, you wonder if there's alligators in it.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I drove up the West Coast, and it's pretty populated going up the West Coast. Georgia kind of looked like North Florida. No surprise there. Northern Georgia kind of looked like Kentucky or Tennessee. No surprise there, right? Lots of rolling hills. It was nice. My daughter was like, "I thought Georgia was a lot of swamps." I'm like, "Well, they have swamps, but no, it's a lot of
That's
rolling
the
hills.
valleys.
Kentucky or Tennessee was gorgeous. Have you ever been to Chattanooga, Tennessee?
I have not.
Oh, very pretty. Very pretty. Now, I drove, north and south kind of through Tennessee. Not a lot of farms. It was mostly forest and mountains and cliffs and stuff like that. Very pretty. Kentucky, pretty cool. Kentucky was a lot like Tennessee. Very green. It was actually shocking. I'm an Intermountain West kid, right? So you go to the mountains or you go to the Pacific Northwest to see the trees.
Yep.
And so to drive through Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, and it was like trees. Illinois, stupid. I don't like Governor Pritzker, so I just didn't like Illinois at all in general. But Illinois
It was tainted with your bias.
Yeah, it was tainted with my bias, exactly. And the gas was $1 more expensive in every blue state that you drove through. That was annoying.
Yeah.
You go from $3.50 to $4.50 just based on the governor of the state, and it was really obnoxious. Sarah Singh says, Pray the Rosary Daily says, it's Friday, and it's sunny Friday in Encinitas. Oh, that's nice. Sarah Singh says, yes. John Atakis was able to get on my screen. Oh, John Atakis has a Tesla now.
Oh.
So he's driving hands-free. I got to ride in it. I stopped in Boise for just a moment, spent an hour with him, went to dinner, did the auto drive Tesla thing.
Oh,
holy smokes, Ron. It's trippy. It's like sitting in a spaceship. It's pretty cool. Oklahoma is the middle of nowhere, too. Yeah, you should see Kansas. I think Oklahoma's connected to Kansas. So, yeah, Pony Boy, Peasants, we meet again. Good morning. Pony Boy, glad to have you, Carlitos. And welcome back, Taylor and Ron. Thank you so much. Okay, so then I get through Illinois and I make it to, so my first night, I go from Satellite Beach, Florida, and I made it all the way to just barely outside of St. Louis, just across the border from St. Louis.
That is a haul.
Yeah. So I made it to St. Louis. Second day, I made it to Denver. Third day, I made it to La Grande, Oregon, and then I made it home yesterday, just a little bit after noon.
La Grande, now that's a destination.
Yes, it is. So I do have to say I lucked out on the hotel rooms. I had comfortable beds every night. That was nice. But so St. Louis was a lot of brick buildings. It's kind of, you could just tell it was an older city. Kansas City is a little bit more sprawling. The drive in Missouri, I thought Missouri, that drive between St. Louis and Kansas City was going to be kind of more plains and desert. No, it was really green, lots of big farmland. The further west you went, the bigger the farms got, right? In Georgia, you'd see a farm, 40 acres, 20 acres. By the time you get to Kentucky, it was kind of the same thing. I didn't see any farms in Tennessee at all, really. But by the time it was Missouri, the farms got bigger and bigger. By the time you got to Kansas, that whole state is just a farm. That whole state is just one big field of grass. I thought Kansas was going to be totally flat. Like, I thought I was going to get the Dumb and Dumber experience. Like, that jump Denver's full of crap moment, right? No, it's kind of just slow, small rolling hills. Yep. Dude, the windmills have ruined the landscape.
Oh, man.
Hundreds of thousands of windmills.
Ugh.
Now, Kansas had a windstorm coming through. I had a crosswind the whole way, and that's when the ride got to be crappy. Crappy. Because I'm driving a Jeep.
Seems like a big sail.
Dude, I don't know if you saw the video circulating on social media, but a cow is more aerodynamic than a Jeep. Okay, so I was just bouncing all over the road. Colorado roads suck. Suck. Colorado cannot draw a straight line. Their roads are like this and like this. Yeah. Like, their roads suck.
Just making sure you stay awake.
Oh my goodness. It was horrible. Jumping up into Wyoming. So by the time I got to Denver, I've made that trip before, right? I've been from, I've driven those roads. So Denver, cut north up through Laramie, went through Wyoming. Then I had more wind. I thought Kansas, the drive through Kansas and eastern Colorado was bad with the wind.
Wyoming is generally the windiest.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. And Wyoming is one of the states that I would love to move to, except for the wind.
Yeah. Well, I was driving straight into it. So the crosswind was bad. The driving straight into it, my little Jeep was like the engine that could. It was like 5,000 RPM to go the speed limit. They actually closed the highway to non-low profile cars and vehicles under 65,000 gross vehicle.
Oh, wow.
So in Kansas, I watched a Jeep crab walk down the road. His wheels were cranked so hard. He was basically like,
I've seen truckers. I've seen truckers driving down the highway in both lanes.
Oh,
just like, whoa.
So then I got, Utah, Ogden or Orem area, Ogden, headed north. I've made this trip 1,000 times, folks. I've been between Salt Lake and Boise a million times.
Oh yeah.
And driving up through Tremont and Schweitzer's Pass. Then the wind, I didn't know where the wind was the worst. I had 2 days of nonstop headwinds, and that was pretty rough too. And that was like the kind of wind, I chased my hat 3 times across gas station parking lots. Like, that's how bad the wind was. Now, I have to say this as well. The Jeep gets about 20 miles to the gallon. Up till Kansas City, I got 20 miles to the gallon. After that, I got 12.
Oh, man.
I was stopping for gas.
Oh,
so I was like, this is a racket. They know the wind is here. They're charging the extra gas for fuel for gas. It was rough. That was insane. And then from La Grande on, it was gorgeous because I got up early in the morning. No wind. Well, it wasn't gorgeous. It was, dude, Idaho.
Yeah.
Markin says hello from Wisconsin. Deplorable D says, good morning, Patriots. I'm glad you're with us, D.
Did you go through Vantage?
Vantage where?
Oh, that's where they farm rocks in Eastern Washington.
Kansas was interesting because it was just this big grass field, man. It was just grass as far as you could see. I can't say enough bad things about Kansas. So I don't know if we have any Kansas listeners. I'm sure we do. But I was like, the crosswind was really getting to me.
Most of my family has been, either from or through Kansas, and you're not hurting my feelings.
Well, I'm glad they made it here.
Yeah.
Wow. I was up in Wisconsin in the Driftless area. That was really gorgeous. Ooh. One of the most gorgeous places I've seen. So that was fun. And yes, I did. I stopped at Buc-ee's. I made 2 Buc-ee's stops on the trip. That was kind of fun. Got my kids all some t-shirts. So, all right, you guys, enough bloviating about me in my last week. And I intended to get to the hotel. I had this idea that I was going to somehow make it from Florida to the Pacific Northwest to Seattle in 4 days. And I was going to be able to pull over, do the podcast. No,
I knew that wasn't going to happen.
I was driving from 6:37 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night.
You're dedicated
every day. I mean,
Yeah.
When I realized, when people were like, usually that trip takes about 8 days, I'm like, I don't have 8 days to make this trip. So, anyways, all right, you guys came here for the simultaneous sip. And so join us now for the simultaneous sip. And all you need is a cup or a mug or glass, a tankard, a chalice, a stein, a canteen, jug, or flask, a vessel of any kind, and fill it with your favorite liquid. And join me now for the unparalleled pleasure of the dopamine hit of the day as we listen to Donald Trump talk about who actually built this country. And the simultaneous sip starts right now.
Another example, if you bring in these everyday Americans into the White House and listening to them,
Yeah.
how important is it for you to listen to everyday Americans when it
Very
comes to
important.
policy making on a
These
daily
people
basis?
built the country, not the complainers. The complainers didn't build the country. These people built the country, whether it's fishermen or farmers or anything else. Guys like me, they built the country. And, I watch all these ingrates. They're always complaining. They didn't build anything. They couldn't build anything. Look at what's happened in Minnesota, Somalia. All these people came in from Somalia. They ripped off our system. You have the woman who married her brother. She came in and married her brother. Isn't that wonderful? And then she talks about the Constitution of the United States. She comes from Somalia. They don't have constitutions in Somalia. They don't have police. They don't have it. All they have is people that run around shooting each other. And then she comes and tells us how to run our country. I don't like it. These people don't like it. I can tell you. I think I can speak for you. Yeah. She comes in, Ilhan Omar. She comes in. She tells us how to run the United States of America. And she comes from a place without anything, probably among the worst countries in the world. And she says, the Constitution of the United States protects me. She shouldn't be protected. She honestly, she should be thrown out of the country. She's corrupt. And most of the people that came in are corrupt, and the whole voting system is corrupt in Minnesota. I won Minnesota 3 times, easily. I won almost every county, but they didn't give it to me. It's a corrupt system, very corrupt state. The governor is terrible. The attorney general is terrible. They're all very corrupt people. Yeah.
I love it. He's just claiming blue states now.
Trump's
Minnesota.
Ilhan Omar impersonation is spot on.
Minnesota hasn't gone red since like the 70s. He's like, I won it 3 times. No, that was the impression I had driving across the country. I was like, this country is a farm. This country is a lot of people who have worked really hard to settle this country. When I was driving through, I was up in Wisconsin in the Driftless area, which is very green and vegetated. And, you look at everywhere that a farmer's field stops, a forest begins. And you look at that, and it's the same thing here. It's the same thing here. Like there's, you look at your field and you're like, there's zero chance this wasn't a forest where we're sitting right now.
Oh, yeah.
But at some point, somebody fell the tree, pulled the stump, graded the land, like they created a field or a pasture or a farm out of hard forest. Or in some areas, they pulled all the rocks off the ground so they could finally till the ground and get it to produce. There has been an untold amount of sweat and labor and hard work that has happened in this country in the last 2 centuries to settle this land and to turn it into something great. And that didn't happen by politicians sitting behind desks. That happened by the sweat and labor of we the people.
Well, we had this little thing called the Dust Bowl in America.
Yeah.
All that dust was created from all the farmers doing a lot of elbow work.
A lot of elbow work. Yeah. When I was in the Dreftless area, I asked the guy that was with me, Mark. In fact, here he is on the show. I was like, Mark, I'm looking at this field. I'm like, do you think this was forested? Like, do you think that they cleared this? Because I've cleared a lot of land, right? As an excavator, I've cleared a lot of land, and it's a lot of work with an excavator. So when I see like large fields like that, in the middle of a forest and there's a 40-acre farm, I'm like, do you know how many mules and like, it is not a small feat to pull.
No, it's definitely its own line item on a construction cost estimate.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, we built the country. That's the point. And I really appreciate that Donald Trump recognizes that. I really appreciate that Donald Trump recognizes that. As opposed to Barack Obama, who goes, you didn't build that. You didn't build that. It's like, no, we did build that. Trust me. And some of the things that we have built have actually caught fire and started to burn down this week. Did you hear about this? Up in Ballot, big warehouse fire?
No.
Yeah, big warehouse fire. Now, I haven't confirmed what warehouse this is, but there was another warehouse fire that was fairly significant down in one of my old towns that I used to live in, Tracy, California. I used to live here, Tracy, California. I know exactly where this is. And the country's largest medical supply warehouse all caught on fire. You should see the aerial footage.
Dude.
Unbelievable here. Look at all those just torched, man.
Is this real?
Yeah, this was yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
Look at that.
Where is that?
Tracy, California.
Dang.
Mega warehouse. Largest medical supply warehouse in the country. Poof.
How did the whole thing catch on fire?
Dude, you know. This,
Oh, is this one of those planned events?
come on.
Jeez.
You know this wasn't someone's Samsung cell phone catching. This had to be arson of some sort. Like you said, how did the whole thing catch fire? Oh, I don't know. The sprinkler, the fire suppression system just failed. Like, yeah, somebody turned it off.
Squirting out gas.
The only way to get a warehouse like that to go up on fire is an accelerant.
Yeah.
There's no chance that the fire suppression system didn't catch that. I mean, that's just wow. So,
conspiracy theorist.
yeah. Pony Boy, what's cool is to see Europeans coming here for the World Cup and appreciating everything about America. That is nice. That is really nice because we have problems in the West. Problems big time in the West. Did you hear what happened up in Ireland this weekend?
No.
Oh, come on, Ron. Where have you been? Sleeping in? Clearly sleeping in.
Hey, man, you're calling me out.
Calling you out. So in Ireland, we had the Henry Novak incident 2 weeks ago where a immigrant who happens to be Sikh pulled out a knife and stabbed a young Englishman. And when the police arrived, the Sikh said, "That man called me a racist slur." And so the police came over and arrested the gentleman who'd just been stabbed. Who told them, "I think I've been stabbed. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe." Okay. They put him in handcuffs, put him on the ground. And then he said, "I can't breathe. I think I've been stabbed." And they said, "No, I don't think you have." And they let him lay there and die in handcuffs.
What, was he bleeding?
Internally.
Oh,
yeah, internally.
yeah.
So he died. So that caused a lot of people to be pretty upset. It was like, hey, listen, this is like George Floyd in reverse here. What's the deal?
What's up with the stabber?
Oh, he got arrested.
Okay.
Right. But eventually when they were like, hey, wake up, kid. He's totally dead. The video is, you're just looking at that going, police officers, what is wrong with you guys?
What is wrong?
Yeah. Up in Ireland, it got even worse. An asylum seeker from Sudan who'd been there 2 days.
How does it get worse?
It gets worse, Ron.
Jeez.
An asylum seeker.
Okay.
I can't play this video.
Oh.
I cannot play this video. I can't even watch it all the way through.
Okay.
An asylum seeker in the middle of Edinburgh, in the middle of town, grabs an old man who's a little bit mentally disabled. He's like one of the people that everybody in town knows because he's, an older gentleman and kind of walks around and,
all right.
But totally a nice guy.
I don't like where this is going already.
The Sudanese man cuts his eye out
what?
in the middle of the street and then proceeds to start to decapitate him. And he's sawing through his spine in his street. A woman grabs her camera and starts filming it. And a bystander goes and grabs a stick and starts smacking him and gets him off of him.
Oh my God.
This led to riots in Edinburgh. This is where the Catholics and the
I hope so.
This is where the Catholics and the Protestants clash. This is back where they had the Troubles, where there were lots of violence for years and years and years in Ireland, Northern Ireland.
Man.
They lit up the immigrant community, burnt it, chased immigrants out of their homes. They're done with it. There's been mass protests in the streets. The police are deployed. It's overwhelming force against the police. I believe this is still going on. Here's a clip from a gentleman who called into a TV show there talking about I said Edinburgh. It's Belfast.
Okay.
Totally wrong there. Belfast. This is a gentleman who's calling in. Keir Starmer got up and goes, "Yes, this was violent. And that man's been arrested and arraigned today to face justice. But the response to this is racist. This is all these horrible things." this is the feeling on the street. The people who actually built Ireland.
I am sick to death of being told that anybody who stands up and says that is far right. It is common sense and nothing more. I don't know how many people contacted this show in the first hour, but there was one voice note that stood out. And before Richard Tice, wherever you are, just pin back your logos. This was Rob.
Morning, Jez. On my way to work, as normal. Listening to you talk about the thing that happened in Belfast last night, all the unrest. Well, yes, rightly, you shouldn't condone what happened. What else have people got to do? They're not listening. The political class are not listening. These people who are coming over here illegally, they're rapists, terrorists. They're coming over here. It's literally like putting a wolf in a sheep field. You are giving them a target-rich environment. You haven't vetted them. You've done nothing. All you've done is dump them in a place where they can wreak havoc. Where they come from, guess what? There's no law. If they can do literally whatever they like. They come over here, there's lawyers, of course, taxpayer funded, they get a nice cushy home, running water, Sky TV, gym memberships, bus passes. They can literally go where they want and create havoc. And when they do, the people that foisted them upon us, guess what? They say, don't get upset. Don't do anything. Don't go out and cause unrest. Well, I'll tell you what, mate, stop reaping, then you might not have to sow it. Because this country is absolutely on the edge. They cannot take much more of people getting stabbed, raped, blown up, you name it. You foisted it upon us for the last 25, 30 years. Ever since Blair said, I'm going to rub your noses in it. Well, guess what? What goes round comes round. And I think the political class have got a very, very, very big smack on the nose coming.
6 minutes past 7, we'll say.
Yeah, it's a big deal there. It's a big deal. Riots ongoing. People like Elon Musk and others have said, if the politicians don't fix this now, this is going to be fought out in the streets and stuff like this. I mean, it happens over and over and over again. Keir Starmer was the general solicitor, basically the prosecutor that was in charge, that was covering up all those rape gangs. I mean, they're still ongoing, by the way. Absolutely horrible. And here's the thing. This is what Deplorable D says. He says, they will fight, but you are ready, right? They're going to fight. The immigrants and things like that, they have a way of life they want to defend as well. The question is whose way is going to win, right? Who does this country really belong to? Driving across the country, I had this incredible awe for America, this incredible awe for the industry and the hard work and how we're all linked together. I mean, I took one road and just drove across the country. The interstate project alone is equivalent to the Great Pyramids. I mean, it is an absolute incredible thing that we did in the last century, right? Connecting our huge continent coast to coast.
It's kind of hard to understand that because you can't stand back and look at it like you can the pyramids. You know, it's a huge sprawling connected network.
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And it ties us all together. Our culture, the Western culture, is worth defending.
So to everybody in the UK who rejects that idea, I'd encourage them to just keep on going. It's okay to want to defend your culture. It's okay to want to live in a safe neighborhood. It's okay to want your job to go to yourself and your neighbors and not to a stranger who you don't even know. It is reasonable for the people in Western societies to want to control who comes into their country and who doesn't.
A politician just said that's unbelievable. That's JD Vance. So, I mean, really rough stuff happening. And again, what does this all center on? This centers around elections, folks. What's happening geopolitically around the world, there are different themes and currents. There's the financial system. There's the elections. There's the culture war. All these themes interconnect. Laura Logan was on with Benny Johnson, and she was talking about one of the reasons why we're in Iran and Venezuela, and she connects it to the elections and even goes a step farther. She goes, the fallout of all the stolen elections, at least 72 elections that Venezuela had their hands in, affects things like, for example, why Spain, a NATO member, didn't lift a finger to help with Iran. Well, have you ever considered a lot of these countries that are just sitting back and not doing anything and are playing obstruction to the Western civilization might be countries that Venezuela overthrew?
And with all due respect, I say this. The Trump administration went after Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela because they rightly knew they had worked for 12 years on an indictment on Nicolas Maduro, right? Venezuela was directly involved in the theft of the 2020 election. They stole that election from President Trump, working with Iran, working with the CCP, working with others. We know a lot of the details because there is a Venezuelan, very senior Venezuelan, sitting in prison who was actually a witness, an eyewitness to the theft. But what President Trump's administration did not do is they did not go after all the other people in Maduro's administration who were involved in the theft of the 2020 election. You know what they did instead? They took the woman, Delcy Rodriguez, the vice president under Maduro, and they made her the president. And that is because, from what I understand from people dealing with this firsthand, that's because, among others, the intelligence agencies were convincing the president, oh, you can't risk, having the regime collapse in Venezuela. That's going to hurt you and so on. Delcy Rodriguez and her brother, Jorge Rodriguez, who presided over the theft of the 2020 election, are 100% complicit in the theft of elections in 72 countries worldwide. You want to know why President Trump doesn't get the support that he needs from a country like Spain? Because the cartel in Venezuela, the cartel that runs the country, Cartel de los Soles, they selected the Spanish prime minister. Why does America get all this heat from all over the world? Because the globalist, Marxist, Islamist alliance that has these cartels as their army, they all work together. So we don't face one enemy. The election in LA, the corruption there, the corruption in the system, this isn't about one enemy. This is about all of America's enemies working together. And all of those illegal immigrants in that sanctuary state of California who not only distort California's representation in the House, but who also they're on juries, so they're involved in the criminal justice system. I mean, all of these people, what they're doing is they are diminishing citizenship. They want to take your individual sovereignty and your national sovereignty, and they want to make it mean nothing. And that's what they're in the presence of doing, in the process of doing. And what did they do at the same time? They imported the most violent people from Venezuela's prisons. Do you see, Benny, how these things line up? Smartmatic and Venezuela being involved in the theft of the election is only one part of it. Flooding the country. Tren de Aragua is the cartel everyone knows about. They're like the ultra-violent army, sort of the dumb guys that do all the violence for the Venezuelans. They were created by going into Venezuela's prisons and recruiting the most violent people and creating this organization that is a paramilitary force.
This is something I've said many times, right? When I talk to Tren de Agua members in prison, they're like, they're basically like the attitude, they're on deployment. Just like we send our soldiers to Afghanistan for 18 months. They're like, yeah, we came to America, we do some violence. Our family's getting paid. Mm-hmm. Oh, we got caught. Okay, we do a year or two, whatever it is in prison. Mm-hmm. It's just part of the deployment process. It's just part of the game. They know what to do. Don't talk. Don't say anything. Take your plea deal. Get in, get out, get it done. That kind of thing. Paramilitary organization.
It is a violent, armed, trained paramilitary force that was infiltrated into out towns and cities. And these are the people that are in front of the ICE detention centers and helping to fuel the protests. So you have them, they fight on every single front. Elections is one front. It's only one. And the idea that you could have a Marxist, when Marxism has forced out 8 million Venezuelans, has failed people worldwide, has been responsible for the death of how many people worldwide. And we are still glorifying it and glamorizing it. And where does much of that propaganda come from? It comes from the city of Hollywood, comes from the city of LA, coming out of Hollywood. So these things are tied together, and you can't fight on one front. You have to fight on every front, and you can't pretend that LA is just a city in the West, on the West Coast. No, what happens in the state of California is actually tested there, and then it's proliferated all over the country.
Yeah, it's all tied together, which is what we've been saying for 5 years. Okay? It's all tied together. It's not ever, there's these events, when you look at them, they can all look independent and separate, but the reality is they're all tied together, right? We're not just in Iran because we're chasing nukes. Nope. We're there because they're part of the global alliance and they've been directly involved in election theft. And it's at the point up in Belfast, cutting people's heads off in the middle of the streets. It's at the point, Aurora, Colorado, taking over whole apartment complexes. It's at the point, Springfield, Ohio, they're eating the cats and dogs, right? It's at the point where if we don't fight back, we're going to have a problem, big problems. Now, over in Iran, lots of stuff happened this week. This was a bad week for me to be gone, right? But Iran, snip, snap, snip, snap. It's on, it's off. It's on, it's off. Ceasefire, we're still firing. In that part of the country, ceasefire just means you fire a little less. Meanwhile, yesterday or 2 days on Wednesday, they shot down an Apache helicopter.
Oh,
the pilots and the co-pilot survived. They were rescued by a drone boat. Kind of interesting. Totally unmanned drone boat went out and rescued them.
Interesting.
Pretty cool. Apparently, a drone boat can go a whole lot faster over choppy water than when there's people in the boat.
Yeah, I might be a little bit suspect of drone boats approaching me.
Yeah,
if I was
they were very
dudes.
much in enemy waters. And so the boat went and got them, dragged them out until they could be rescued by a rescue helicopter.
Okay.
But that merited a retaliation strike. The retaliation strike, $250 million in missiles were fired. Okay. And Iran called the United States and spoke directly to President Trump in the Situation Room and asked for him to stop firing. So here's Jesse Waters kind of recapping this whole Iran situation. This is last night. This is the most up to date on the Iran situation. And then we're going to update it.
Fox News alert. Trump just called off strikes in Iran at the last second and has announced all parties have agreed to final points of a deal.
We just made a great settlement of the war with Iran, and we're going to be subject to finalization of documents, which should get done over the next few days. Probably have a signing maybe in Europe.
Trump told the Post a deal is pretty much wrapped up, and top brass in Iran have approved a draft agreement. The terms extend the ceasefire, immediately reopen the strait, and in 60 days, Iran has to downgrade their uranium to zero. We don't lift the blockade until the uranium's vaporized. And we don't unfreeze any of their money until they behave. For weeks, we haven't heard a peep from the gay Ayatollah, but now he's coming out.
Has the Supreme Leader approved this deal, sir?
I understand the answer is yes.
The last 2 nights have really gotten the Iranians' attention. The USS Michael Murphy launched dozens of Tomahawk missiles, hitting Iranian surveillance, communication systems, and air defenses along the southern coastline. These were the most ferocious and devastating airstrikes since we ended major combat operations in April. Tonight was going to be even worse.
We were hitting them very hard for the last 3 days. We're going to hit them even harder tonight. They knew that. We told them exactly what we were going to do. We explained it exactly because they had no Navy, they had no Air Force, they had no any weapons of detection, they had nothing. And so we could tell them exactly what there wasn't a thing they could have done about it.
It wasn't just these airstrikes that put the pressure on. The president warned Iran he would just keep bombing them every night until they signed, and flirted openly on Fox and Friends about seizing Karg Island. Reports say the combination of airstrikes and Trump's saber rattling really unsettled the enemy and forced them to agree to terms. And one of the most embarrassing revelations for the Iranians was Trump disclosing that the U.S. Navy has been conducting Operation Freedom in secret, finessing dozens of tankers out of the strait right under Iran's nose. Because without radar, satellite, and comms, the enemy's deaf, dumb, and blind.
Over the last month, we've been taking out ships, big ships, quietly at night. You guys didn't know that. Pretty cool, right? As a captain. He knows about more about ships than I do, but it's pretty cool. They turned off the lights. We bombed their radar and everything so they couldn't see what was going on. We took them out at night. And that with the strait will officially open as soon as we sign, which could be soon.
Today, CENTCOM said the strait's open for business for everyone except the Iranians. CENTCOM officially declaring the United States now controls the strait. Our forces disabled another blockade runner in the Gulf of Oman. A Guinea-flagged MT Javelier was trying to transport oil from Iran until one of our aircraft fired 2 Hellfire missiles straight through her engine room. The president told Fox last night that the mullahs called him, begging him to stop the strikes.
They've taken a pounding like very few people could take, and they want to make the deal a lot more than I do. And we could have had it done the other way, I guess, but it would have taken longer. They got hit very hard recently, as you know, and I don't like to have to do things that way, but I felt it was necessary. It's a great deal for the United States and for the Middle East.
Trump's been waiting at the negotiating table for 2 whole weeks. And now we're finally inches away from a deal. JD, he could be signing a memorandum of understanding in Europe this weekend. You know, Trump's got to be at the UFC fight.
Has Iran committed to not pursuing a nuclear weapon, or will there be more negotiations on that down the line?
They will not have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that. There will be no, which is the whole reason, which is a big part of the reason.
Is that going to be in your agreement?
They will not only not have, they will not purchase, develop in any way, any shape, in any way, shape, or form a nuclear weapon. They will not have a nuclear weapon.
But we have been down this road before. It's not over till it's over. Until we witness the dust being destroyed, anything can happen. But this time does feel different. Felt different for the market, too. Dow shot up 900 points. Oil fell into the 80s. And administration sources tell Primetime this looks like it's it. Remember, the president's aiming for a great deal or no deal. And wouldn't it be nice if we could get one this weekend on the president's birthday?
What do you wish yourself for your birthday?
For my birthday. Well, I'll go a step bigger. Peace for the world. Okay? Peace for the world. Middle East, yes. Peace for the whole world. Yeah.
Pretty fun. So there's been mixed reports because nothing we know what's going on in Iran is true or false. I mean, we have no idea. We agreed. We didn't agree. We agreed. We didn't agree. So, I mean,
We'll I like that part where he's all, we agreed, we didn't agree, we did, you know, and then, oh yeah, we've been bombing the hell out of them for 3 days. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Capitulation. So the interesting thing was oil has stayed, you know, it's been under $100, under $90 or whatever for a while now.
Yeah, but gas kind of goes all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, gas goes all over the place, especially if you're in a blue state, you know. And I don't know if it's as much Iran as much as the legislature's adding gas taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, back to them pulling boats out of the Strait of Hormuz in the middle of the night.
Inflation to come down between now and
when the war is over?
Yes.
It's coming down.
I know you can't.
It's going to come down like a rock. And again, we're taking out millions, which I'm just announcing today for the first time. But we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil, millions of barrels. Every night, took out oil. But now I'm going to tell you because they just figured it out. So now that they figured it out, I can tell you. It was very hard for me. I wanted to say it so badly, but I didn't want to ruin it, but it was very hard. But millions of barrels of oil has come out. That's why it's at $85, $90 a barrel instead of $250. But we have the greatest military in the world, the toughest military in the world, just the best in every way. Nobody even close. There's no military that's even close. I rebuilt it during my first term. I'm using it now. When this conflict is over, Todd said, please call it a conflict. No, as opposed to the word. He didn't like that. It didn't work. It's sort of a conflict. It's a military operation. When it's over, you will see oil drop to where it was before.
Yeah. So they've been pulling boats out in the middle of the night, and it's been going on for a while. They've pulled like 100 plus boats out, like 20 a night, 18 a night, 22 a night, something
Seems
like
like
that.
you'd figure that out pretty quick when all the boat names are moving.
Well, I'm sure they just turn their transponders off, hit the lights, and make a run for it. It's Cannonball Run, baby!
Right.
Go through the straits. I've got Tomahawk missile cover. So pretty cool. So that's Iran. It's still out there, big matzo ball, just kind of waiting to be resolved. And it's affecting a lot of things. The CPI came out, inflation's up, right? And the way they adjusted it, it's pretty bad. So Trump does not have a handle on inflation. Those are just market forces. Now, another thing happened. A federal judge in Massachusetts decided to stop state proceedings in Texas. So ActBlue, right, the fundraising organization for the Democrats that has been caught smurfing, putting people on the list, making literally thousands of donations in certain people's names. They had no idea they were donating to ActBlue. Literally caught on hidden camera. They had, I didn't pull any clips of this, but they went and testified in the House this week. The president of ActBlue took the Fifth Amendment 22 times in the hearing. Okay, like shocking. Like, I don't want to answer any questions. Basically, there was a letter that she wrote to Congress in response to the allegations of smurfing and foreign donations. And she wrote a letter back essentially denying everything. And the ActBlue's attorneys ended up quitting over it, but they wrote a letter to her saying, hey, you might have perjured yourself and lied in that letter. And the letter got leaked. So we kind of know that ActBlue's up to no good to their eyeballs. Okay? No surprise there.
Yeah.
But a federal judge in Massachusetts blocked Attorney General Ken Paxton's lawsuit, and it's a state lawsuit. Attorney General Ken Paxton is in the state of Texas. He brought state charges against ActBlue. Okay, they got caught in his state taking foreign donations, smurfing, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Well, this judge in Massachusetts decided he just could not let the state of Texas proceed with state charges, so he's enjoined them.
Oh,
he's enjoined them and said that. So basically, Ron, I don't know. Okay? So here's where it goes. A federal judge in Massachusetts is enjoining a state attorney general across the country. So we can sue in Texas federal court to stop California gun laws, right? Or does this clown show civil procedure only work for the I can't even, the I can't believe you did this crowd? A federal judge in Massachusetts blocked Attorney General Ken Paxton from continuing the state court lawsuit against ActBlue, finding that it was likely brought because the platform helped raise money for his Senate rival, James Tallarico.
Oh, that's
a Massachusetts judge is blocking a state attorney general from bringing charges because the Massachusetts judge thinks that the state attorney general is doing it purely because ActBlue is helping raise money for his political opponent, not because of the undercover videos, not because of the people who have been indicted on the peripheries of this matter, not because they have hard evidence, simply because the judge thinks it's political. Massachusetts.
This is really good signaling, I guess, but I can't believe that has any teeth. Somebody from Massachusetts telling Texas what to do. It's totally different jurisdiction.
Like he said, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Just start suing Texas.
Yeah.
We start suing California for their gun laws.
Yeah.
Texas is just a Texas federal judge should just be like, hey, California's gun laws, no bueno. So I'm enjoining California if I'm enforcing their state laws.
You can enjoin Washington, I guess, too.
Yeah, hello. Let's get a pro fair election judge to enjoin all the Democrats from counting votes after election day. How about that? It doesn't look fair. It looks like you're trying to steal the election. Yeah. That's enough reason for me to tell you to stop it. So pretty interesting. Another.
David, switching gears here for a moment. The Justice Department is now highlighting.
So another thing happened here. Okay, sure.
David, switching gears here for a moment. The Justice Department is now highlighting this memo, a controversial memo.
Okay, so I had to remind myself which clip this was. Okay, so another thing. Do you remember the Justice Department memo that was going after Catholics, fundamental Catholics, people who want to do Latin Mass and stuff like that? You don't remember this? Oh my gosh. So under the Biden administration, the Justice Department had a memo that circulated to all the United States attorneys directing them to surveil Catholic Mass participants and fundamentalist Catholics. These are the type of Catholics that want to do Latin Mass and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, you didn't know this. Oh my goodness, Ron. Yeah, literally wanted to go into the churches, track them in their parking lots, figure out who was attending Catholic Mass and target them. Absolute targeting. So this memo circulated and Christopher Wray denied it. Memo got leaked. Christopher Wray got hauled back in, says, I canceled the memo and I told him not to do that, right? Okay. So anyways, now there's a probe into this because now we have other DOJ officials who were reading this memo, and these aren't right-wingers. These are just normal run-of-the-mill rank-and-file DOJ attorneys who were reading this memo going, holy crap. You may as well call this the MAGA targeting memorandum.
From 2021. What can you tell us about that today?
This goes back to Attorney General Merrick Garland's time in office, October 2021. DOJ leaders insist the Biden Justice Department, quote, targeted parents. And today, the DOJ announced a formal probe. Fox obtained emails from October 2021 that show senior DOJ leaders expressed discomfort with a memo that then AG Garland sent soon after the FBI put out this memo about school board meetings. That's what Garland put in his memo. The memo.
It was school board and Catholics.
Instructs the FBI agents to be on alert for any threats to school board members and was written just days after the National School Boards Association wrote to President Biden equating some parental behavior across the country to, quote, domestic terrorism. In one of the dissenting emails, Aisha, written 2 days before Garland released his memo, a senior DOJ official called the memo stupid, 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 end quote. Another replied, quote, if they do this, they might as well rename the damn thing the Anti-MAGA Task Force, end quote. The NSBA eventually apologized for its domestic terrorism language.
So if you don't like boys going into girls' bathrooms and you show up at the school board or you attend Catholic Mass, boom, you're a target. You know, may as well just name it the Anti-MAGA Task Force.
Yeah, they should issue them brown shirts.
Now, going back all the way to the IRS scandal where they were targeting conservative nonprofits and the Tea Party and stuff like that, the government has it out for you, right? I mean, they just absolutely have it out for you. If you're pro-closed borders, if you're pro-American jobs, if you're pro-farmer, if you're pro-American factories, if you're pro, parent sovereignty over their children and right to raise their kids, if you're a homeschool family, if you're working on any kind of alternative money systems like crypto or Bitcoin, if you're a J6 protester, all of us have been targeted. Okay, all of us have been targeted. Some of us more than others. Some people were so targeted that they actually got debanked. I was one of these people, right? My involvement in a little thing called January 6th resulted in Wells Fargo canceling my bank account and canceling my business's bank account. Might be one of the most devastating things that happened in the big picture of things. To be debanked means you ain't in business anymore. I mean, for a lot of people, this was a big, big deal. And for some businesses, this is like out of business. If you think about it, in America today, if you're a business and you don't have a bank account, do you have a business? Okay. So finally, the DOJ is getting around into trying to figure out what happened. Why did all these people get debanked?
So the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the DOJ has issued subpoenas to several of the country's largest banks amid widespread allegations of debanking. JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo are all named in the report as officials investigate claims that big banks improperly close customer accounts based on their politics. Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett joins us now. So, Greg, in simple terms, explain what went wrong. Of course, Americans feel this is wrong, but a lot of these banks are alleging that the federal government put pressure on them to behave this way.
That's right, because a lot of the debanking occurred during the Biden administration. Look, understand that banking discrimination is against the law if it's done by a financial institution for political or even religious purposes. It violates about a half a dozen federal statutory laws, constitutional protections for beliefs, as well as state laws that protect consumers. You know, debanking is only allowed if a bank has suspicion of criminal activity afoot by a client in an account. But as long as somebody operates a lawful business, debanking is illegal. The Treasury Department has been cracking down, but now that the U.S. Attorney in Washington has stepped in, that really raises the stakes. I wouldn't necessarily assume criminal prosecutions. Typically what happens is what's called civil enforcement actions, which would include, federal monitors, restitution, some pretty hefty fines and penalties. We could be talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that the banks would have to cough up. Now, if there is a conspiracy to violate civil rights, then yes, you could see criminal prosecutions against the banks and its officers.
I'm glad. Usually Bank of America gets looped into some of this stuff always, but this is the first time I've seen Wells Fargo be directly named. And I'm like, yes, because Wells Fargo did it to me. Say their name, They did it. I think that's great. Got to look into this stuff. This was devastating to people. This put gun manufacturers, this put crypto bros, this put January 6ers, this put, people who supported Donald Trump, put them out of business in many cases. This was devastating. Now, I find myself, I had a phone call with Trennis Evans over this last week. He called me while I was in I was actually in Kansas City and I missed my exit and I had to do this big loop because I was
Who's that?
Trennis Evans. He's a January 6er. He's been he works at the Ticklin law firm. He's a real advocate for January 6ers. I believe he's an attorney.
Okay.
Anyways, he called me and I was like, because we're starting to file lawsuits for January 6th, right? Now the weaponization fund's gone, so the lawsuits are going to start trickling, and I'm on their list. And so I was like, what do you expect the response to be from the DOJ? I mean, we're going to Jeanine Pirro, but Jeanine Pirro is the one who's prosecuting Brian Cole, the pipe bomber. And we've still got Jocelyn Ballantyne on the case. He's like, I know. I'm like, so this, again, another one of these law firms, or, Jeanine Pirro, DC office. She got Jocelyn Ballantyne right down the hall.
Sounds like a non-starter.
What's going on? Yeah, it's really hard to know if there's going to be anything productive happening here. Sometimes I wonder if it's like, hey, we can't do what we know. I wonder if sometimes this news clip that we just played is the worst it's going to get for them. Right? Okay, so you get a little bad press. Time goes on. You come to some settlement agreement. You sign some piece of paper saying, oops, I'm sorry, we won't do it again. And then you'll just promptly start doing it again. It's like HSBC. They get caught laundering billions of dollars for the Mexican cartels. Why do you still look out and see HSBC branches around? Like, why aren't they out of business?
Well, money flows.
Money flows. Money flows. Now, another one of these groups that targets Americans is the SPLC, right? Southern Poverty Law Center. Yeah. The ones who took down the Ku Klux Klan, only to prop them up and buy capes and robes and Ku Klux Klan hats.
I might not be able to say their letters right, but I remember who they are.
To establish chapters of the KKK, literally organized and funded the transportation of the quote unquote Nazis to the Unite the Right rally, right? $300,000. They were the primary transportation coordinator to the Unite the Right rally. Actually brought the Nazis. Okay, to the extent that there were actually Nazis even there. They brought them. So this hearing that they had with the president of the SPLC, now remember, they're under criminal indictment. So Jerry Nadler is giving them a softball question. He wants the SPLC to be able to defend themselves. And so he asks a question basically saying, do you have and use informants? Because that's allegedly totally acceptable, right? And even Jerry Nadler is caught off guard by this guy's defensiveness around this topic.
Can you explain what actions the SPLC took before the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville in an attempt to help law enforcement?
Congressman Nadler, again, I must say that counsel will respond to all allegations in the indictment in the Middle District of Alabama.
That's not an allegation.
It's part of the allegation.
I didn't make an allegation. I don't want to talk about it. So here's Jim Jordan, who did the best job in this hearing of really grilling him, because it's Jim Jordan's manner. He kind of tells the story with his questions and kind of leads them on, and he does a pretty good job. I have started to find Jim Jordan as to be completely feckless. Do you know kind of the history of Jim Jordan?
Not really, but I have liked him in the past.
Oh, he's great. He's wonderful. And I again, if I was in his situation, I don't know that I would do differently. He's always been outspoken for President Trump. He does a really good job in his committee hearings. His cross-examinations are great. I mean, this is a wrestling coach from Ohio, right? He's not an attorney, I don't believe.
I kind of put him in the same category as Trey Gowdy.
No, I wouldn't put him quite there. Trey Gowdy borderlines on nefarious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in my opinion, Trey Gowdy borderlines on nefarious. But what happened with Jim Jordan, and this is true, okay, during the RNC convention in 2020, leading up to that, there was, or actually it was after the RNC convention. No, it was before the RNC convention. So Jim Jordan was really on the front end of COVID and all of the issues that we care about.
Yep.
And then one day there were two things that happened in 1 week. There was Kelly Loeffler's staff member and Brian Kemp's nephew, or I don't know, there was a relationship between Kelly Loeffler in Georgia and Brian Kemp. What their nephew, son, daughter, boyfriend, girlfriend, staff member, two of them were blown up in a car. And Sidney Powell said that was an assassination.
Whoa.
Okay? That was we've got, we will do bad things to the people you love signal that was sent. The second one was Jim Jordan's nephew was murdered. His brother's son was murdered. And it was ugly. And it was, according to Sidney Powell, it was a hit job.
Oh.
Since that moment, Jim Jordan has become all talk, no action.
Oh.
Right. Since that moment, Jim Jordan has been all talk, no action. So A lot of people think that there was he just too much. You know what I mean? Too much.
Yeah.
So he's good. I love him. I can't hold anything against him, but he's probably one of the ones that's going to do a lot of talking. And at the end of the day, he's not going to send the criminal referral or whatever. You know what I mean? He's going to come just short of the goal line. But he grills the ActBlue here.
Mr. Fair, did the Southern Poverty Law Center use donor money to have field sources attend extremist rallies across the country?
Mr. Chairman.
Simple question. Did you use your donor money for that purpose?
We used donor money.
Yes or no?
Pay confidential informants to infiltrate extremist organizations.
Did the Southern Poverty Law Center use donor dollars to have field sources host extremist rallies throughout the country?
Not to my knowledge.
What the indictment says. Did the Southern Poverty Law Center use donor dollars to have field sources grow existing chapters of extremist groups?
Mr. Chairman, as I
It's
said
a simple
earlier,
question, Mr. Fair. Did you use donor money for the purpose I just read? I'm reading straight from the superseding indictment.
and Mr. Chairman, the indictment will be managed and responded to by counsel in the criminal case that's
Well, you just
pending.
answered a question from Mr. Raskin concerning the indictment. He asked you, did field sources send information to the FBI that help with things? You answered that question.
That's a matter of public knowledge.
That's in our public filing.
Did Southern Poverty Law Center use donor money to have field sources create new chapters of extremist groups?
Again, Mr. Chairman.
Did the Southern Poverty Law Center use donor money to recruit new individuals into those extremist groups?
I assume you don't want me to answer since you're not giving me time to answer.
No, I'm giving you time to answer because that's a yes. Did you use your donors' money for that purpose? Yes or no?
Again, those issues will be resolved in the pending allegations against the SPLC.
It seems to me if the answer is no, you could say no.
We have asserted that the allegations are false.
Did the Southern Poverty Law Center use donor money to have field sources make donations to extremist group leaders and purchase materials for cross burnings? It's alleged in the indictment. Did it happen?
We've alleged that those allegations are false.
Did Southern Poverty Law Center use donor dollars to have field sources create racist paraphernalia that...
So we do this, right? Anytime you want to push off liability, go allegedly, right? Allegedly. So you're defending yourself. Well, we allege that those allegations are false. Are they false? Because if you say they're false and they're proven to be true, you committed perjury. But if you just say, well, we allege, it's like, well, okay. Like, hello, like, here's your sign, folks.
That extremist group sold at rallies.
We've alleged that those allegations are false.
Okay, how about this? What is Fox photography?
That's a tough one.
Chairman, what I've learned about Fox photography, I've learned from counsel in conversations with counsel.
How about Northwest Technologies?
And they're covered by the attorney-client privilege.
These are. Well, did the Southern Poverty Law Center establish shell companies to pay to run the money through to then pay the field sources?
Again, all of the allegations that you are referring to, Chairman Jordan, will be
how about this?
Responded to by our counsel in the Middle District of Alabama.
And what are we doing here?
Did you pay the field sources directly, or did you pay them through an intermediary?
Mr. Chairman Jordan,
yep.
Our counsel will respond to all the allegations in the indictment in the case pending in the Middle District.
Well, there's all these companies that you sent money to. Center Investigative Agency, not the CIA, but your CIA. Fox Photography, Northwest Technologies, Tech Writers Group, Rare Books Warehouses, Imagery Link, J&J Electronics, and Kelly's Marine. I'm just want to know if that was the intermediate shell companies that you guys set up to pay the field sources. Is that true?
Will the good chairman yield for just a moment?
I got just a minute and a half, and then I'll be happy to entertain a question you may
Chairman
have.
Jordan, our counsel will respond to all the allegations.
Oh, jeez.
In the Middle District of Alabama.
Okay. Did you do it all for the money?
Oh.
You said now, I think Southern Poverty Law Center said you're no longer going to use these field sources. You're going to stop the program. But you did it for multiple years. And according to the indictment, it was $4 million that you shelled out to these various field sources to engage in all the activities I just read.
As we said
Was it all about the money?
As we said in our public statement, Chairman Jordan, we did it to protect our staff and to protect the public.
Did fundraising increase?
We paid for Ku Klux Klan hoods and robes and crosses to be burnt to protect the public. You have to know how bad we are. Oh my goodness. We did it to protect the public.
Did your fundraising increase?
Oof.
Did the donations coming in increase?
Chairman Jordan.
Is that you or me? Did I do that?
I don't know.
Sounds bad.
I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to when you say.
How about this? After the crazy Charlottesville rally, did fundraising go up?
Mr. Chairman, our fundraising went up.
Fundraising where one of your field sources helped coordinate
Our
transportation.
fundraising went up when President Donald Trump was elected in 2016.
Fundraising go up after you paid a field source to coordinate the transportation at an event in Charlottesville where a person was killed. That's what I'm asking. Did it go up? Because according to what we know, you went from 51 million to 133 million in 1 year.
Whoa.
And that happened when President Donald Trump was elected.
Who's the president of the National Socialist Party?
Political match.
You know? You paid him $70,000. He was field source number 30. I just want to know who he is. You know who he is?
Mr. Chairman, that's an allegation in the indictment that will be responded to by counsel in the Middle District of Alabama.
These guys are cooked, dude.
Oh
These
my
guys
gosh.
are cooked. We will respond to the allegation. We allege that it's not. That's like saying it's true, but we don't want to admit it's true or not true. We
Yeah,
allege.
That's exactly.
Oh my goodness. The theme is the same. The theme is the same, right? The left will literally fund the problem that they're fighting.
Mm-hmm.
They do this all the time. It's crisis, problem, solution. It's Hegelian dialectic. This ties back all the way. Marx was a fan of Hegel. He was trying to take the Hegelian dialectic and actually turn it on its head, but using the same premise. And another sycophant for Marxism is Norm Eisen. Right?
Boy.
He's one of these attorneys that's behind so much of the lawfare everywhere. And it turns out his law firm actually will loan lawyers to the United States prosecutors around the country so that they can go after their.
This guy's voice is so bad. He should be an evil character in a cartoon.
I know. And he should get some sun too.
It's totally a racket. Let's just start with Norm Eisen, who runs this States United Democratic outfit. I don't know how many salaries this guy collects, right? He's got a law firm. He's got States United. He runs this media outlet called the Contrarian. He also is a fellow at Brookings. He's making millions upon millions of dollars, and it's clearly being funded by some dark money from the left. And so he has that money. He whips it all up. He packages it, and then he goes to the leftist state attorney generals, and he says, "Boy, do I have a deal for you. I'm going to send you free lawyers." And then these lawyers show up in Wisconsin. They're writing memos and having deals in Arizona so that Trump officials or Trump alternate electors, contingent electors, or others can get prosecuted by Arizona.
He literally pays for lawyers to go into these states and prosecute people, to attach his staff to these state attorney general staffs so that they can, not just go after, hey, listen, I know as an attorney general, you got to go after street thugs and crimes like that. But I mean, and you don't have enough bandwidth for the political stuff. But hey, if I loan you some attorneys, can you take care of these political cases too?
Yeah.
I mean, holy smokes. These people are gross. Now, while I was in Wisconsin, little did I know, you'd think I would have known this, Donald Trump was also in Wisconsin. Did you know that? Donald Trump was in Wisconsin. So he headed to Wisconsin, and Kristen Welker, the lizard-looking lady from NBC, she came out to interview Donald Trump at a farm event, and it was raining, and they sat inside of a pole barn, so the rain was really loud on the roof and stuff like that. You can hear it in the interview. And Donald Trump, this interview went off the rails. And Kristen Welker, I mean, her facial expressions, she's like attacking Trump. And she totally pulls a Leslie Stahl move here. She does the whole, there's no evidence of that. You can't say there's no evidence of that. And Donald Trump is sitting there going, just look. You're not looking.
So she's calling the president a liar?
Yes. And he's like, just look at the evidence. It's Leslie Stahl moment. Total retard, right? Her, and we already knew this. Why did we listen to her? I don't know, because there's clips, man. That's the only reason. You can't take any of the words coming out of these people's mouths seriously. But nonetheless, Donald Trump goes over two things with her that kind of end the interview. One is January 6th,
okay,
and two is the election fraud.
They had FBI agents ushering them into the building. They had FBI go into the building. Those people walking around, they're looking always in this.
This is what I love about Donald Trump. He tells it like it is. The way lawyers talk about this is there were informants in the crowd. What did they do? Well, that's still, we're trying to figure
sanitized.
Sanitized. They're just there. They're just observing. Kash Patel. They were there to do crowd control. Yeah, crowd control, to control the crowd into the building. Right? But Donald Trump, who's clearly had briefings on this, clearly been, I know Peter Tickton, my attorney, spent 9 months gathering the evidence and presenting it directly to Donald Trump. So Donald Trump probably knows more about January 6th than you would assume. So when he says this, he's saying what they did. He's not going to go and through like a lawyer is and like break it down and all the intricate things. He's like, listen, they sent him into the crowd and this is what they were doing.
Those people walking around, they're looking always in the side. They weren't in. They were being ushered into the building.
There's no evidence of that.
Dirty cops. And frankly, what they did was weaponization of our government.
But sir, there's no evidence of that. More than 1,000
No,
people.
no, there's none. You know what you do? Try looking at the tapes one time.
Would you take it off
Look at the tapes one time.
But 172 people did plead guilty to assaulting police officers.
You know why they pled
Should
guilty?
They be exempt?
Because they told they were going to jail for 15 years if they didn't.
Should they?
They pled guilty because they were frightened. They went down. They were ushered into a building. Many of them were arrested without even going into the building.
Okay with them receiving taxpayer dollars?
The people were destroyed by dirty cops and by weaponization. Many of those people should be compensated. Now, with that being said, as I understand it, the weaponization fund was going to set up a group of people, people that could be picked by anybody, fair people, smart people, and they will go on an individual case basis. Okay. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with the weaponization fund. I love the idea because people like you, the fake, dirty press, the crooked press, people like stupid Biden, he's not smart enough to know what's going on, but people that surrounded him, surrounded his beautiful, resolute desk in the Oval Office, what they did to the lives of people, they destroyed people. They sent people to jail who did nothing wrong.
All right, just to be very clear, there's no evidence of what you're saying, but
Listen
to
me.
Let's talk
There's
about Todd
tremendous evidence. There's nothing.
There's nothing but evidence. There's no evidence. They pled guilty. They pled guilty. Listen, they pled. I have. If we would have just jammed up the system and just not pled guilty, the whole thing could have cracked under its own weight. Okay. But people did plead guilty because they're being told by their attorneys, it's 20 years or 2, take the deal. There's no other choices for you. And you can't, in a way, you can't fault them, but in a certain way.
Well, it's like an unprecedented situation too, you know.
But, yeah, there's actually a bill being put before the House to eliminate plea deals, to say, hey, the plea deals are the problem, right? There's a lot of innocent people that go to jail because you weaponize the process against them. I think that's good. You know, you should only charge someone if you're actually going to follow through.
Something worth talking about.
Yeah, for sure. So then the topic shifts to elections. Again, no evidence. Look at the tapes. Look at the evidence. You won't look. That's the problem. So then he goes on to talk about the elections.
The election was rigged. It was a dirty election.
Mr.
And it's
President,
happening again right now in California.
Never presented evidence.
It's happening
the
right now in California. Right now it's look at what's happening in California.
To that?
It's
the
4
Republicans
days.
are doing well in
California. No, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days, and they aren't even close to coming up with.
That's how they count.
You know why they're doing that? Because they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence to support?
All I have to do is look. All I have to do is look.
That's not evidence.
And I listen to people. And let's see what happens.
But, sir, that's not evidence.
Do you think it's appropriate?
That's how they count the votes in
Do you think it's appropriate that they have an election And 5 days later, they're nowhere close to picking
State
a
and
winner.
local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging the
crooked.
votes to be counted quickly. That's how they vote
They're
in
crooked,
California.
just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked.
To be fair, I'm not crooked, but let's
Really?
Let's
Well, you
continue.
play right into their hands.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid. You play
continue.
right into their hands with this rep. You know that these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But Mr. President,
you know why I
you've
got
never
that?
presented
Because you have no
evidence.
credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about. I want to talk about Todd.
You
Blunt.
have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
Your
about
elections
you
in
went
this
to
country.
court.
We're like a third world country.
But, sir,
Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked,
Mr.
and so
President-
is ABC and CBS and CNN.
But, Mr. President-
You're one-sided crooked networks. All right, let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Yes.
Let's
I've had enough,
threw the
dude.
microphone down. Wisconsin.
I've
I
sat in the
traveled
rain with
all.
you.
I know.
Just
I traveled all the
smacker.
way to
For an hour,
Wisconsin.
on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You want to straighten out your press because you know what?
Mr.
A
President,
country can never be
We
great
traveled
with a dishonest.
Listen, we traveled all the way to Wisconsin for the interview.
It's over.
I went all the way to Wisconsin. Oh.
I spoke with President Trump on Saturday, and we both acknowledged the complications during the interview posed by the rain. He agreed to sit down with me for another Meet the Press interview.
Why? Why do it? You should just ice these people out. Make it boring. Make it boring. You know, just bring Norm Eisman over and over again. You know, just make it boring. She's right. You know, this is just the way California does it. I mean, they take forever to vote until they get the result they want. even back when Kamala Harris ran for AG, it took them 30 days to make her the winner.
4 weeks after the November 2nd election, California finally has declared a winner in the attorney general race. Harris finished so close to her Republican opponent that it took a month to finish counting every vote. She won by less than 1 percentage point. 4 weeks.
Yeah. I saw a meme recently that was talking about how Karen Bass was going to take all month to like confirm the World Cup results.
So the Spencer Pratt election. Oh my goodness. You know, I've talked to a couple people in California and they're like, we think the federal government's going to do nothing. I got news for you. They're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
They're not going to do anything because
It's a state thing, right?
well, it's not just that it's a state thing. It's that when you really get down to brass tacks with these people, you'll find out they'll go, well, yeah, all these things are wrong, but we have to maintain the illusion of control. We have to maintain the illusion that things are right because otherwise normal people will start ignoring the rules, right? If you, a normal driver, realize that the speed limit's not being enforced, eventually you'll stop following it.
Or if your votes don't really count, nobody will vote.
Nobody will vote. They can do whatever they want. Exactly. Or I said this one time and I kind of regret saying it, but I hold true to it. And again, it's not what I'm putting into practice. But the solution to this is that nobody votes.
Right.
You want to break it? Nobody show up. Nobody, not a soul. And then when nobody votes, they don't have the consent of the governed. The elections create the illusion of consent of the governed. 50% plus one.
Yeah.
We had an election. Get in line. Follow the rules. This is what the majority wants. It's the plausible believability of the consent of the governed. If nobody votes, they can't say, you voted for us. We just go, no, you're just sitting in the seat. You just won't leave. We don't want you here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We don't want you here. We don't even acknowledge your authority and that the election even matters. We don't vote.
That's not a practical solution because all it would take would be one person to vote. And how could you keep that one person to
Well, but then you go, hey, only one person voted for you.
Right.
Right. So
and it was you.
You don't have the majority. Well, but that's how we vote in America. No, we vote by consent. And we don't even consent to these elections being real, so we don't even participate. Right. But there are no laws. There are only cops. Everything's around enforcement. And so if they can create the illusion of control, the believability that there's consent of the governed, then they'll continue to be governing. Now, Donald Trump called out this stuff in California. What happened was Spencer Pratt on the night of the election was in second place. That means he's heading to the general election. The third place city councilwoman, all of a sudden, during the after vote counting, is surging.
Yeah.
She's getting more votes than Karen Bass. She's catching up to Pratt. In fact, there was one ballot dump where it was circulating on the internet that he got no votes out of 20,000 ballots counted, which is a statistical impossibility. You could be hit by lightning 19 times, and it's more likely, right? In one day, it's more likely that would happen than that he would get no votes. Well, the attorney in California did a little digging into that, and turns out it's not true. He did get votes. He got 10 votes. So the statement that he got no votes isn't true. It was like 10, right? So it's another one of these like, okay, so whoever said he got 0 votes kind of made it to where the normies out there are like, oh, that was fake news. It was fake news, but it wasn't fake in its direction. He was getting way less votes in the mail-in after the vote. And basically, as soon as she gave a concession speech, Ron, she gave a concession speech.
All of a sudden, she was surging.
And then she surges, and then as soon as she overtakes Pratt, she's declared the winner. They still have lots of counting left to do, but as soon as she overtakes Pratt, she's declared the winner, and then we just move on with our merry day.
You know, I saw something very recently in a poker game. Something like this happened. It was very sketch. So these two guys are in a hand, and one guy says, well, my hand's not very good, so it looks like you win. And the other guy puts his cards in, and then the other guy's like, well, I've got the only live hand, I win. And he won.
Yeah.
They ruled in his favor because the other guy, put his cards in.
Yeah.
It's like, man, that is
because he didn't say I fold and didn't put his cards on the deck.
Yes.
Yeah, it's rigging the game.
Yes.
So Donald Trump caused such a stink about this election in California that they actually finally declared Steve Hilton the winner, and he was the same way. He was trending. They were gonna knock him out. They were gonna knock him out.
The shaft, and he did. Spencer Pratt, he did really pretty damn well, and they threw him out. And it was happening to Steve Hilton, and I went on a tear. And they said it was going to be 2 weeks, and they'll know about Hilton, whether or not he's going to make it. I went on such a tear that they approved it immediately. They approved Steve. It's such a rigged deal. It's so crazy. They approved him so fast because everybody was watching, and he was leading, and it was leading by a lot. And you saw his lead was dissipating rapidly. They were taking it away from him, just like they took it away from the kid. And I went on a tear. And by the way, we have the U.S. attorneys looking at it. And the 2 weeks that all of a sudden is, we have a surprise. Steve Hilton won. And he did win. But they were going to take it away shortly. They were going to take it away over a 2 week period. They announced that they wouldn't have the results for a week to 2 weeks. All of a sudden, they approved Steve Hilton.
But Iran.
It's a rigged election.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's get back to Iran.
I shouldn't have brought that up. But
all eyes are on it, though. So now we watched James O'Keefe videos of Skid Row voters being paid for their votes, paid for their registration, fake voting. And of course, it's so funny. 20,000 or 14,000 or 20,000, I can't remember, voters in LA got their ballots returned to them. And they're all going to the internet saying, hey, I got notified by the commission board that my signature wasn't verified. So then people are going online and they have to cure their signature, and then they're getting notified it's not cured again. So then they go in and it's notified. Some people are up to their 4th time trying to cure their signature. Signatures are being rejected. They're like, I'm literally standing in front of you telling you I voted for Spencer Pratt. Let me sign it. And they're like, well, your signature is not verified. This happened to me, Ron. In 2020, when I voted for President Trump, I got a notification saying your ballot didn't count. Your signature wasn't verified. I'm like, what? But of course, it's Washington. Election's been called. It's like, okay, how many people did they do that to? It's another nexus where they can go, these ballots we're going to set aside. Make these people come in and verify. And how many people do? 1%, 5%. Not very many people are going to follow up after the election's been called, right? But that's an easy way to just peel off 20,000 ballots and just not count them. Just exclude them from the count at all.
What is your feeling about this Pratt thing? Because it feels like to me that they just knew there was no way they were going to be able to cover up and steal the election in the general, and so they had to do it now.
It's wild corruption.
Yes.
It's just, listen, when's the right time to get out? Before or after they build the wall, the Berlin Wall? Like this is so outrageous. They are relying on the fact that you're just going to go to work tomorrow. It's the same thing in Belfast, Ireland. Eventually, all those protesters are just going to go back to work. They've got to go provide for their families.
You got to eat.
Right, you got to eat. They just, as long as we can just move this thing along, they're going to move it along. They're just, it's Joe Biden. office of president-elect, and and we're sending our people over to start taking over and the transition team. It's just acquiescence. It's just people giving up. We literally saw the voter fraud in California. We know what they were doing on Skid Row. We have it on video. In fact, somebody already was indicted, pled guilty, and then has reported to prison in the last 3 months since this scandal broke out. Okay, that's how quickly they've processed this. We know for a fact this was happening.
Brenda Lee Brown Armstrong made her initial court appearance this morning. The case stems from a video made by conservative activist James O'Keefe. It appears to show Armstrong and others paying homeless people to register to vote and then signing various petitions.
And yes, James O'Keefe is the source of there was a public reporting of an undercover video of her on video paying homeless people to register to vote. This is an example of election fraud, and this is not merely an allegation. She has admitted guilt. She will be appearing in court at 10 o'clock this morning, and she has agreed to enter a plea of guilty at the appropriate times.
James really caught him on this one. They're out freaking out. They're losing their minds, making statement after statement after statement about how illegal this is and how they're going to investigate it. I've never seen this before in my life.
Caught cold, cash in hand. Cash in hand. But just like Kristen Welker, Hakeem Jeffries knows the company line.
Earlier in the week, you told me that there is no election fraud happening in California and that anyone who questions the outcome of the election is a conspiracy theorist. However, there are now homeless people on Skid Row admitting they were bribed with cash, drugs, other incentives to vote Democrat in elections. Does that change your stance at all on whether or not these elections are rigged?
Listen, I'm unfamiliar with those reports. And I wouldn't be surprised if those are part of some far-right conspiracy theory being peddled on the internet to try to convince the American people that there's evidence of fraud in California.
Earlier in the week, you told me that...
That's the whole clip.
Far-right conspiracy theories at this point is a dog whistle for the truth. Okay? Give it 6 months, it'll be fact. But they'll still say, that's a far-right conspiracy theory. Listen, the fact that you attached far-right means it's true. Okay? If you said it was a far-left conspiracy theory, I'd be like, oh, so is the earth flat or round? Like, what's going on, right? That's a far-left. Far-left stuff, probably fake. Far-right stuff, that just means it's true. It's a dog whistle. It's a dog whistle to the left voters and the vote blue no matter who crowd. Hold the company line. Smear these people. Slam these people. Hold the company line. You have video evidence of it. This is at scale. Okay, this is at scale. And Gavin Newsom told us that they have a break the glass process.
We all have agencies. We can shape the future. There's still a lot of, look, I've said this before, so I'll repeat it. I don't anticipate this need to be the case, but there is a break the glass scenario. And there's many people that have a deep understanding of what it would look like if Democrats were locked out. And we're going to do everything to make sure that doesn't happen. I'll leave it at that.
Democrats being locked out probably means some of them go to jail. So, when you're backed into a corner, how far do you go? Now, Jay Clayton is the prosecutor in the Southern District of New York, and he has been a huge advocate for Donald Trump, and he spoke out on this election fraud stuff, and he also got the nomination to replace Tulsi Gabbard as the director of national intelligence. So this man that we're going to play this clip right now is going to replace Tulsi Gabbard as the director of national intelligence. His confirmation hearings have already been scheduled for this week. That's how badly they do not want Bill Pulte at the director of national intelligence. They've expedited his hearing. They could have dragged it on for 6 months, right? But they're like, no, we're putting him in, which, by the way, makes me really concerned. If the deep state is acquiescing to Jay Clayton over Bill Pulte, it kind of makes me wish Bill Pulte had his 120 days or whatever in the spotlight, because this is like, okay, a little sketch. But either way, this is Jay Clayton on CNBC talking about the election fraud and how the system itself is rigged.
Of what's happening in California right now?
No, I actually can't, which I think is the problem. You raised this about election integrity, which I think is the point.
That's what I'm watching it, and are any of the things we're hearing about, like thousands of votes all for the same person, is any of that true, or is that just this sort of a conspiracy? Like 100% for the socialist candidate versus the others? Is any of that true?
Look, we had a problem, a deep problem with voting in America. We had race-based discrimination around voting. It was identified. We had the Voting Rights Act. It was all about access, making sure that people were not denied access. There was a second element to it, which was election integrity, making sure that once everybody has access, that their vote actually counts, that it's not being diluted by illegal voting or shenanigans and the like. I think we've done, a pretty darn good job on access. I don't hear anybody claiming that they don't have access to the ballot box. What we've done,
you hear politicians saying that it's Jim Crow disenfranchised.
But no evidence, right? We have groups dedicated to making sure that people have access. Tons of money dedicated to it. Laws and laws that my office enforces, other offices enforce to make sure that people. On the integrity side, we're doing an absolutely terrible job. And the American people are right to question it. How come we can have an audit trail in every other aspect of our lives that's important? People cite getting on, planes and the like and things, but in every
here's the issue. California's election law allows ballots postmarked by election day to be counted and permit same-day registration. That means tabulation typically continues for weeks after the vote.
I think you go 30 days, isn't it?
Right.
But why is that law there? I get you.
That doesn't sound like fraud. That you can argue whether the law makes sense, but that doesn't sound like a fraudulent situation.
And so this is part of why we say it's rigged. Okay. The system is rigged to allow fraud. And this is one of the challenges they're going to have in California. Who do you indict when they're following the law?
Yeah, I don't know.
When the law doesn't require you to voter ID, when the law doesn't require you to have a postmarked ballot, when the law doesn't require you to do these things, then how do you charge these crimes?
Yeah,
it's literally set up so that they don't get charged and that they're forced by the momentum of the thing to count the fraudulent ballot. That they are showing pictures of ballots with the envelopes with the signatures that are smiley faces, like people laughing at the ridiculousness of the system. Okay. It's set up such that they can't be held accountable.
There's a great phrase, opportunity for fraud, right? One of the things you do in designing laws is reduce the opportunity for fraud without, in this case, reduce the opportunity for fraud while not adversely impacting.
And every time it happens, Jay, it's like, okay, all these are coming in for the next 30 days. Oh, Democrats vote that way. So it just makes sense that it's 100% Democrat. That's where the opportunity comes from. So yeah. You can have it. Why does it always go that way with the mail-in votes? Why is it always 100% Democrats are voting in the mail-in?
Great question.
Why can't you count them like they do in other jurisdictions on the same day as election day, or within a very reasonable?
Well, if you mail them in on election day, they're not going to be there on election day.
Well,
I mean, I got stuff returned to me that I sent out for Christmas by like 2 months later. It's coming back.
Why we wait until election day for mail-in ballots? I don't really.
But those are questions with the law, and it doesn't suggest that there's necessarily fraud here. You can have cause for an investigation, but what the governor's office,
the vote totals that come in,
Becky, I completely agree with you. It's what it does.
I'm not saying there's not fraud. I'm just saying there's not necessarily fraud there, and that's
what it is it makes the opportunity for fraud so much greater when that is not necessary. It is not necessary for ballot access, and it's not necessary.
Well, one guy was up 8%. Now 3 days later, or whatever. Now he's down.
Well, and it makes you ask: is mail-in voting being used by one group and not another? Whether it's being used honestly or honestly and dishonestly is a question now everyone is asking. It's a question that can be eliminated. Look at Florida. Everybody's comfortable that Florida delivers election results and that there's access to the voting booth in Florida. I think, Florida deserves a great deal of credit. Florida is a state that has many jurisdictions that lean right, many jurisdictions that lean left. And I think they all agree that as a state, they probably have the best election laws.
Yeah, and Florida's got problems too, according to Mike Lindell, which, by the way, he just got robbed from the Republican nomination up in Minnesota. He was leading in the polls, but yet the Uniparty decided not to endorse him. Interesting. Now, Bill Aseli, who is the United States Attorney for the Central District of California, where a lot of this voter fraud is happening, he was on an interview with Glenn Beck, and he said something interesting. He said they're going to have to wait for this election to be certified to prove some of the allegations of fraud.
You said you expect people to be charged. Can you say with what? And you feel confident enough you have enough evidence?
I will just say it will be election fraud charges in the next. I hate to put timelines on things, but 1 to 2 months. I believe we need the some of these results to be certified so we can prove some of the allegations. But we will be charging some people. I can't get into too much, and mostly, Glenn. I mean, it's not just DOJ rules, but we also want to protect innocent people. If we get something wrong, we don't want someone to be tainted with the stain of an investigation until we're able to prove that in court. So I can't get into too much, but just know that at this point right now, we're wide open for investigations. If anyone knows anything, direct evidence. I know people have theories and they have ideas, what we need right now are witnesses. If you've witnessed anything, if someone voted in your name and you found out someone voted for you, we want to know about that. If you saw someone collecting ballots in a suspicious way or doing something odd with ballots, we want to know about that. Those are the kind of things we need direct evidence of right now so we can launch into deeper investigations.
So they're still looking for evidence, but they say the election has to be certified to prove some of these allegations. What does that mean? That probably means they're looking at election officials who are ignoring some aspect of the already loose laws that they can go after. Frazier says in Idaho, the vote by mail has to be received no later than 8 p.m. on election day. It does not matter about any postmark. Idaho allows anyone that asks for any reason to vote by mail, but you have to ask. That's better than just mailing a ballot to everybody on the list, especially when the ballots are bloated. Remember, Oregon just had to take 800,000 people off the voter rolls that in every election prior to this received a ballot, or at least a ballot was generated for that name that was proven to be fraudulent or non-existent and had to be removed from the voter rolls. Chris Cuomo interviewed the same attorney from California, and he actually did a really good job of fleshing out that these guys don't have much by way of evidence or a case.
So then you have not conducted an investigation. You are conducting one. So you don't know. And you are in the business of knowing right now you don't. You are pointing to one case. And you know what? You could point to a dozen. Do you know why? Because those are all the cases you've made in the last decade. A dozen individual cases.
I did not say that we
to be lacking.
Found wide-scale fraud. There's two different things going on here. You're saying for sure.
I did not say we have found wide-scale fraud. Oh, sounds like you're going to fall short of the mark.
No. Hold on a second. You're saying for sure there isn't. I'm saying we don't know because we haven't been able to look at all the evidence at scale.
Yeah, but no.
Why is that? Let's talk about the voting system in California.
Mr. Aseli, if you were in a court of law right now, and I don't need your opinion on the system because you're not a voting system expert, you're a prosecutor. That's why I have you here. If we were in a court of law and you said, Judge,
I was in the legislature on the election committee. I know a little bit about California's voting system. Yes.
So wait a minute. You want me to take somebody's experience in a state legislature for how long?
I was there. I was in the legislature for 3 years. I've been involved in election integrity long before that as an attorney. And we could talk about.
I've covered elections for 30 years, Mr. Aseli. Oh, boy. 30 years. You know how many cases of widespread fraud I've covered? One. And it was the Trump administration.
All right.
Okay. Russiagate. Russiagate. It was Russiagate.
We're entitled to audit California's voter rolls under multiple civil rights statutes. We're entitled to audit those.
You are.
The state is resisting.
Yes, you are.
Why is that?
I know.
Why are they resisting?
It's a bad look.
The best way to deal with all of this is to have transparency and to give people, like Chris, I don't care what the outcome of the election is. We want people to have confidence in the systems and that the laws are being followed. I agree. So when California lets you register to vote with a gym card, that is not a good system. When you can register to vote with a debit card, that's not a good system. When you don't clean your voter rolls, that is not a good system. When you legalize ballot harvesting, which is illegal in most states with no chain of custody, not a good system. And then you ask us, why don't we have evidence of wide-scale fraud? Because
the last part is inaccurate.
What's inaccurate?
The last part is inaccurate. The other ones are good arguments. They're just political arguments, not legal ones. And again, you are in a legal capacity, not a political one. Okay? Maybe you're getting them confused because of the legislative hat or being in the Trump administration. But if you were in a court of law right now, Mr. Staley, and said to a judge, Your Honor,
why we need to audit the rolls.
Excuse me, sir. Hold on a second. I'm not saying you shouldn't audit the rolls. I was nodding along and saying yes, yes, while you were saying we have every right to audit the rolls, and the state saying no is a bad look. That's what I said, a bad look. All right, so I'm with you. But if you were to say to a judge, Your Honor, we don't know that they didn't do it, that is a bullshit standard. Now, it works in politics, not in law. That's what I want to make sure you know how to keep straight.
Oh, brother.
We have not charged the state of California with wide-scale voter fraud. We're conducting an investigation. We have not brought a case, and I guarantee you, when we do bring cases, we will have plenty of evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. That is how we work. That is how we speak. I have not provided any specifics on any case. I've simply told you there is evidence of voter fraud. We are looking into it. And when we're ready to bring those cases, you'll see the evidence. You'll see the case. We'll make it in a court of law. But we want to instill confidence in the elections, which is why we are seeking to audit the voter rolls. And that, to me, is the best way to alleviate most of people's suspicion. We have a system that breeds skepticism and distrust. We should have a little transparency and confidence in our system.
So he's saying what I said. It's important that we trust the election system. So for the conservatives out there, we're going to do an investigation, and it's going to result in a couple people that voted 2 ballots and whatever. But it's not dispositive of the election. So go the speed limit, follow the rules. The cops have the authority. That's what this is going to boil down to. The right wing and the left wing are both going to agree. Don't let the peasants rebel. Don't give them any more reason to not believe in the legitimacy of our rule. That's what it's going to boil down to. And Chris Cuomo's right there. You're making a political argument. The only thing we want is hard evidence. We see it. They're handing money to people for ballots. Okay, but you only caught them doing it 20 times, 15 times? Does that mean they did it 100,000 times? Or does that mean they did it 15 times? It only matters what you can prove, right? And it gives fodder. It gives fodder to the Kristen Welkers of the world. You have no evidence of widespread voter fraud. It's like you have a rigged election. The system's rigged. Well, that's a political argument. Go take it up with the legislature. You see what I'm saying? So CNBC also interviewed John Thune, another one of these weaselly, weak-kneed people who just can't see the obvious.
And do it, but you're not going to get any Democratic support on that. What is the problem with what is their position as to why that doesn't make sense to show voter ID? And I can think of some good reasons why you wouldn't want to if you were a Democrat, but this isn't the way it should be done. How do we strengthen our notion that voting has integrity in this country?
Right. Well, and I think that's a question for the Democrats who block voted against the very simple issue of voter ID, which we've put on the floor now a couple of different times. We've had the entire Save America Act on the floor a couple of times, too. But we've had the specific rifle shot vote, if you will, on whether or not you have to show a photo to vote in this country. And every single Democrat voted against it. And it does beg the question. And you see a state like California, and Joe, you always hear about states being the laboratories of democracy. And if there are lessons learned from some of these states like California, it's that this is a really stupid way to run elections because it undermines the confidence and trust that people in California and across the country have in those elections. Now, frankly, you have to prove if there was cheating, and clearly that's something that you would have to do in California or anywhere else for that matter. But the fact that it takes days, literally days, to be able to count votes in a state like California, when there are other states around the country who do that very quickly and get an outcome and a result, it's incompetence if nothing else. And whether or not there was actual rigging is something that have to be proven. But clearly, this is a system in California that doesn't work and doesn't inspire confidence and trust in voters.
They always say those words: confidence and trust in voters. Confidence and trust in voters. to me, knowing what I know, this means they've been stealing them for a long time. But as long as they maintain trust and confidence from the voters that you can't prove or allege that it's enough nefarious shenanigans, then we're just going to keep going on. And that's what I'm hearing from these guys. Listen, we do not want to overturn the apple cart. It just needs to appear legitimate. And California doesn't appear legitimate, so it's a problem. Okay, so let's do something about it. Let's require voter ID. Well, then you need evidence to show. You see what I'm saying? This is all a political problem. We need to show face. Now, the Democrats and the left are losing people, even like Jillian Michaels, who kind of made her fame during the Biggest Loser reality TV show. And she's been a Democrat. She's a lesbian. You know, most people may or may not know this. I don't know if it's even relevant. But she's been your traditional lefty. She's a product of California, right? And the Maha movement with Robert Kennedy Jr., a Democrat, kind of brought her over to conservative values and principles and to be kind of, she probably votes Republican at this point. And she said the thing that Trump's been talking about rigged elections for 6 years now. Okay. And she's like, I used to not believe him, but after seeing what's going on in California, remember this Spencer Pratt campaign woke a lot of people up in LA. Karen Bass does not deserve to rule. She should not be in charge. They burnt down the Palisades. A lot of her policies made that situation way worse than it needed to be. The homelessness problem is an all-time problem. People are dodging human feces to go get their matcha lattes, right? And so she is even coming over to the fact that, maybe there is a problem here.
To be honest, it seems to me that he is the only one standing between us and the complete loss of free and fair elections. I used to think that Trump was insane for suggesting that the 2020 election was stolen. And now I'm actually not so sure, because these animals in California are not just changing election law. They're changing what elections actually are. And California is not the end of this story. It's the blueprint. And here's the thing. Everything we just walked through, that's the surface. That's the part that's documented, that's litigated, that's on the record and already legal. So no matter how nefarious or corrupt it may be, they made it legal. But here's what they didn't count on. They didn't count on us. They didn't count on this. The fact that 30 million Californians now have a roadmap, not a rumor, not a conspiracy theory, but a documented, sourced, time-stamped account of exactly how this is done and exactly who did it. And you can't unknow this. And they can't unbuild what they built in the dark now that it's standing in the light. And the fight for California is the fight for the country, guys. And it starts with conversations like this one. It got to be.
Now we know what they do. They're going to always win the election with mail-in voting. Right at the end, they'll find the ballots they need. Kamala Harris and her attorney general's race. This isn't a new thing. It's just the plausible believability that Karen Bass or Rahman would win that thing is just beyond the pale. She gave a concession speech. She was behind in the polls.
Have you ever heard of
her whole constituency apparently mails in their ballots.
Have you heard of a gentleman's name, Dean Logan?
No.
Oh, snap. He's the election official in LA. Did you know that he used to be the election official here in Washington?
I did know about him, yeah.
Oh.
Election rigor extraordinary.
Stolen much?
Stolen much? So Todd Blanche had a press conference with the Department of Homeland Security talking about they indicted a bunch of human traffickers that brought a lot of these migrant children across the border. Remember, the Biden administration lost between 300,000 and 400,000 kids. And the Trump administration has gone out and they have found about 140,000 of these kids. Okay. And Todd Blanche is.
Whenever we talk about the kids and we get numbers that are over thousands, I'm just like, what in the hell?
You're talking the population of this county.
I know. It's like, how did we get here?
It's unreal.
Yeah.
And and we're going to hear from Mark Wayne Mullins, the horror that some of these kids lived through during this time period. And there are still children living through this. So when I was on the airplane flying to Wisconsin, I was on a Delta flight and we had a TV screen and I watched a documentary about human trafficking in Ohio. And they were bringing illegal immigrants, children, to Ohio to work in chicken farms. and some big factory got caught, and they came in and raided the place, and the whole place was filled with child labor that had crossed the border, and they were taking their papers and documents, and it followed them all the way back to Honduras, where the families were sending their children to go work in America, and they were giving the deeds of their houses to the traffickers until their debt had been paid. And when these people got indicted in America, the people down in Honduras went and gave their deeds back to all the families so that they could avoid stuff in Honduras too. It was really crazy. It was a documentary about it. So this has bbin going on for a long time. And Todd Blanche gets asked about this, and he says, listen, when officials know about this that's happening, when you know kids are coming across the border, when you know they're being raped, and you don't do anything about it, that's the problem.
Encouraged, though, is quite a charge. I mean, what evidence do you have of that?
What evidence of what?
To say that it was encouraged, this behavior is quite a charge.
Well, you can insert whatever word you want. I said encourage. If you know there's a problem and you're in a position of leadership to stop it and you don't stop it, what word should I use? I mean, I use the word encouraged. If it isn't as if this was a single day problem. You have a situation that happened over a number of years. They knew it was happening. It was brought to their attention it was happening, and they didn't do anything to stop it. As a matter of fact, when you look at the end of 2024, and there were 300,000, like you just think in your mind that number and that number of young children, and then we had no idea where they were in this country. I mean, that's I continue to use the words encouraged. So
yeah, they encouraged it by doing nothing. If you stop enforcing the speed limit on some county road, you could and just stop enforcing it completely. People going, hey, people are going like 100 miles an hour on a 35, and the sheriff's like, nah. That's encouraging. It's like, I'm not going to go speed.
I guess that's what we're doing now.
Okay, and what is it that they were encouraging? It goes to the election integrity issues. They're literally encouraging the cheating by the structure of the thing and by ignoring the allegations of fraud or that the system is rigged. Well, with the kids, it's the same way. Mark Wayne Mullins describes the horror that these kids went through. And here's the crazy part. You know who was in charge of it? Xavier Becerra, who was the top candidate and vote getter in California running for governor. He was the one that was in charge of these kids and let them slip through the cracks.
And you start hearing the absolute horrific things that took place underneath the Biden administration, under true neglect at best and criminal at worst, to allow 450,000 kids to go missing throughout this country. President Trump has made it a point to go find these kids. Because of our partnership with HHS and DOJ, Department of Homeland Security, truly using the best of the best, which the Democrats sometimes want to demonize, because a lot of times this is ICE, this is HSI, this is CBP. These individuals that the Democrats seem to want to defund, but because of President Trump, we finally funded them for 3 years. We're able to push and go find these kids. We found 146,000 kids so far. 146,000 kids. We still have nearly 300,000 missing. We're investigating reports to where some of these kids claim that they were raped 600 to 700 times. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you have kids, if you don't have kids. I don't care if you're a liberal, you're independent, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican. If you can't stand for law enforcement to go find these kids, who are you?
Xavier Becerra.
There you go.
Who's going to end up being the governor of California. That's who you are. That's who you are. So yeah, California is the breeding. We got to stand and fight. Can you? Can you withstand the storm that will come down on you? Can you withstand the debanking? Can you withstand the removal of your professional licenses, which California, Washington State, they'll weaponize that system against you? Can you withstand the Norm Eisen prosecutors that get loaned to the attorney general to come after you? Who are you? Probably going to end up being the governor of California. You were the director of HSS. You were a congressman, right? That's who you are.
Get funneling kids.
And the Democrats, they even brag about this openly. This is Governor Whitmer on June 1st, 2026. talking to Oracle's CEO, Clay Magruch. Okay, now this audio is not good, but we're going to listen to it, and then I'll tell you what she said if you couldn't hear it.
People say, no, that's doing it anyway. And you really could look for a winter like you did. It's like they have people have a lot of problems.
She said, and I know the audio was bad. She said, we're used to people saying F no and doing it anyways.
To what was the question?
Doesn't matter.
Oh.
We're used to the people saying no. The people saying no. And we're just going to do it anyways.
Ah, I see.
We're going to stage insurrections. We're going to stage Unite the Right rallies. We're going to target conservatives. We're going to tell farmers they can't sell whole milk. We're going to do whatever the blink we want.
I see.
And do it anyways. It doesn't matter. They're going to steal it right out from under you. They're going to take it without even blinking because they have the power and you don't.
And what are you going to do about it? Nothing.
And here's another example of what they're going to do despite what Americans really care about or what's in our best interest. Did you know under the Barack Obama administration, they closed 500,000 square miles of America's fisheries? Now, they didn't close it to all fishing. They just closed it to American fishermen, which opened the door to international fishermen to come in. That press conference we played a couple clips of from Trump earlier, that he was surrounded by these fishermen. Some people might even notice one of the deadliest.
Oh, yeah. Sig. I saw him there. I was going to say something.
So in this press conference, Howard Lutnick, Department of Commerce, describes how the Obama administration closed all these fishing grounds and made the United States in one presidential administration from being a net exporter of seafood to being an importer of seafood.
Would we like to speak? Yeah, go ahead. So this action, 500,000 square miles were closed to American fishermen. You couldn't go and fish 500,000 square miles. I mean, just think of how big that is. And if you had an American flag, you weren't allowed there. But of course, everybody else went. So they went in our waters. These are our waters. And so what did that result in? That resulted in us, instead of having seafood exports, because we have great fishing opportunity, we were an importer. We became an importer of seafood. How crazy is that? So the president is finally changing that. This is a massive win for our fishermen, massive win for our waterfront communities who process it, all these processors. And in the end, we are going to eat fish caught by us. What a shock. Eating fish caught by us in our waters. So this is just common sense, smart. We already have the best conservation rules in the world. And this was one on top of another on top of another. So thank God from the fisherman's perspective, and I get these calls all the time, that President Donald Trump is in this office because he's finally letting our great fishermen and fisherwomen get out there and catch fish and stop importing fish. Let's eat fish caught by Americans. Amen.
Why? And this is when Donald Trump said, because these people built this country. These people built this country. They deserve the right to fish, to make a living. And they support all of our local communities. He let one of the local fishermen from the Portland area here in the Pacific Northwest, and he's one of the largest fishing companies that's vertically integrated with the family in America. Okay. And they've been iced out of a lot of these fisheries. He let him speak about the impact of this.
We're third generation. These two are some of our kids, as a full of four. Pacific Sea. We immigrated, my grandfather immigrated into this country and started his first fish market in 1941. From there, we now are one of the largest family vertically integrated seafood companies in North America. It was an American dream. I'm honored to have been. Where are you from? Portland, Oregon, and now Arizona. Liberal? No, I'm not a liberal. Trust me.
It's probably more people than you think as Republicans, conservatives.
If we could count the votes.
You know what? If we could count the votes. Because people who actually live in even the farthest left community, like us, I'm looking around all the time going, where are the real lefties? I mean, I see an occasional purple-haired person out there, but normal people are like, yeah, no, illegals shouldn't vote. That's like American Civics 101. Hey, boys shouldn't be in girls' bathrooms. That's like, common sense 101. Like, I didn't realize we were having this debate.
Yeah, we don't need a committee for that one.
Okay, we don't need a committee for that one. So if we could just count the votes. Yeah, exactly. Some of your most blue cities probably aren't that blue.
Count the votes properly. But where we are is the act, the proclamation today, and the executive order last year and prior to this is really going to help us. We have 3,000 families with us and 715 fishing families, lower 48 in Oregon, Washington, California, and Alaska, that depend on what we catch, what we process, and what we grow and sell is the healthiest protein on the planet. And you're giving us access to these family wage jobs in these coastal communities where we're usually the number one or number two employer in those cities and counties and coastal community. And so I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of that 3,000 employees and 715 fishermen. Thank you, Mr. President. Secretaries, thank you, and everybody that supports this industry.
So did you ever see this happening when they destroyed your whole life and your family and your business, everything else? Did you ever think that somebody would come along and save it?
I'm going to just be really clear. There's never been a president to do this.
Thank you. It's very nice. Yeah.
There's never been a president that would do this because they all go the other direction. They want to destroy the American way of life. Driving across the country, what Trump said, we built this place. These are the people who built this place. Largest employers in their community, a fishing company. When you drive the Highway 101 up the Oregon and Washington coast, you drive by community after community with fishing boats just stuck in docks that can't fish American fisheries. The East Coast is the same way. And Donald Trump is turning all this stuff around. Americans are so wildly ingenuitive. We can do so many things, right? I'm going to show you this little clip here. I just think this is cool. So my dad and mom bought a Tesla. So I got my chance to drive my first electronic vehicle ride. I love it. I'm begging parents, please. I don't have a job, so I can't qualify for financing because I don't have a job, but I've got okay income. I mean, I'm supporting myself. I can make my payments. I'm like, please buy me one. I'll make buy me one. I'll make the payment, right? I want an electric car so bad. My friend Jeff here locally, he says, people who drive a Tesla, you should drive a muscle car because if you drive a Tesla, sure, it goes faster and auto drives, but then I don't know. He has this slur he says, but I don't believe it. Okay. I think it's cool. American ingenuity is awesome. And I see a marketplace for people who do cool things. Okay. Lots of people would love to reuse older vehicles. And obviously with the kill switch, which apparently got defunded in the appropriations committee, the kill switch on vehicles that's coming.
Okay.
So we played a clip a while back where you get in your vehicle and your car's looking at you. And if your eyes are blurry or whatever, it won't run. It's the kill switch.
Oh, okay.
It's to avoid people being drunk. The car's going to be monitoring you all the time. They killed the kill switch. Okay. But nonetheless, there's a lot of advantages to having an electric car, right? There really, truly, there are like significant advantages to having an electric car. But obviously, you're limited. You got the Rivian, the Tesla, and Hummer EV, and
And whichever one you pick, you got to kind of be local.
Sort of, yeah. But what about taking old cars and converting them to electric?
Yeah.
So I have spent the better part of these last few months converting this old pickup truck to all electric. And it's finally up and running, so I'd love to just take a few minutes and show you guys exactly what I did. And at the end of the video, we'll take it for a drive. The base of this conversion is a 1982 Toyota pickup. It is a two-door, two-wheel drive long bed, comically long bed. I bought this truck with a blown motor. I got it with a 22R gas engine in it. It unfortunately threw a rod. I pulled it out in chunks. And now it has a Series 1 DC motor in it. It's mated to the original 5-speed transmission back there. Just has a custom motor mount. And then some of the stuff you see off to the left here is a vacuum pump for power brakes. But as you can see, it's pretty empty in here. Most of the stuff was taken out and no longer needed. This is actually the Toyota logo from the early 80s. I didn't know this was a thing until I bought the truck, but I think it's pretty neat. Excuse the mess in the garage. We come to the back here. Found an old electric logo. I have no idea what this is off of, but I got it for like $10. I figured why not throw it on there. And then the battery pack, you can kind of see it down there. This aluminum
This guy's in Washington State too.
enclosure houses some battery modules out of an old Tesla Model S. The aluminum enclosure is attached to some steel angle that I've welded into the existing frame. Moving on, we have our brains and charger and whatnot in here. It's a little bit messy right now, so please forgive me. But this is basically all the brains to swap here. You got the controller, the interface, contactor, charger, all that good stuff. And then finally on the inside, we have a throttle pedal out of a 2009 Toyota Prius. We've kept that original 5-speed transmission so we can still row through gears. I think that's enough yapping. Let's go for a drive.
Wow, sounds awesome.
Like I said, still got the manual transmission. Pop it into first gear here. And if you want to change gears, just let off the throttle, put it into second, give it a second to rev match, and you're good. Reverse. The dashboard is only really useful for the speedometer at this point, because it thinks my battery is dying. Fuel gauge is obviously useless, and the temp gauge is obviously useless, but at least I can still obey the speed limit.
That is cool, man.
That's pretty awesome.
That is cool.
You know, he might have a business opportunity there. You know?
Dude, we all do.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, all that equipment, you could just make the equipment and sell it. Come get a conversion kit for light, just do it. Light vehicle, medium vehicle, heavy vehicle. Different.
It'll just be based on the weight you got to push around.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. I mean, for an entrepreneur and someone that sees the opportunity, like you saw it, that's a business opportunity. Yeah, it's a cool hobby. It's a cool project. But more than anything, there's a lot of people that would love to just convert broken down vehicles into electric.
Well, I recognized it right away because when I was young, I was a little kid. My dad started a business converting cars to propane.
Yeah.
And that opened my eyes to a whole new world.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And it looks like the hard work is just getting the engine crap out of there. Everything else is mount, controller, new throttle, and away you go. I mean, it's an electric vehicle with a stick shift transmission.
I know. I wonder how long it took him to figure that out.
He said a couple months, and
that's pretty awesome.
Like he probably fabricated a lot of it. That's really cool. All right, guys, longer show today because I got to make up time. We missed 4 shows, so we're gonna run long this month. We have to. We're jumping over to private now. We're going to be talking about the Clarity Act and then a little bit about Bitcoin. Good progress on that this week. Clarity Act is coming. We've been told it's inevitable. Like the banks, they can whine and cry all they want. Jamie Dimon said the CEO of Coinbase is a piece of shit. It's like, you're really worried about losing depositors, aren't you? Anyways, all right, we're going to jump over to private. We're going to talk a little bit about the Clarity Act, and then we're going to learn a little bit more about Bitcoin. Talk to you guys in a minute, and the rest of you tomorrow.